So really briefly, I want to touch on the importance of maintaining a good relationship with your students. Now, this goes across business models, obviously it goes specifically for this content because you're going to be dealing with a lot of students, but this literally goes across, to e-commerce, to literally any other entrepreneurship, endeavor that you might get into in the future. And the reality is, give more value, focus on good customer relationships, and build relationships with your customers for the long term, right? So the reason that you want to do that is tenfold here. Obviously, you're not planning on just slapping up one course on Udemy and, that course is going to make you $1 million, right? No, you want to continue to build courses, continue to add pieces of digital real estate that are going to pay you passive income over the months and years to come. And as you introduce new courses, your recurring students and the students that have joined your past courses are going to be your biggest advocates and biggest friends for new course success, right? So we talked about giving away courses. We've talked about, basically getting more students into your courses. We've talked about the importance of reviews and how you can go about doing that. But even with all those methods, even, basically going out and giving away courses and establishing, reviews for those courses, still the number one overall way that I get new reviews and new watch time and support for my courses so that they can rank on the platform when I launch a new one is from past customers that I've gone out of my way to build relationships with. So what does that actually mean? What do you have to do to actually build relationships with your customers so that you can basically rely on them and then they can rely on you, right? It's a symbiotic relationship. It's back and forth. Well, first and foremost, you want to focus on the long term. So you're not trying to slap up a course and kind of trying to game anybody, just to get a course up so that you can basically, make money, right? You're supposed to create a good piece of content. Now, when we move on further into this actual module, we'll talk about, not having to create, a 3-hour course that's, all sorts of in-depth right away, right? You're going to put something up, you're going to learn from it, you're going to adjust, get feedback from your customers, improve it going forward. It doesn't all have to be done on day one. But you do want to create a good piece of content. You want to create good lectures. You want to create good, valuable insight for your customers and for the students that take the course so that they trust that they're, they feel heard and they trust that their suggestions are going to be potentially implemented or at least taken into consideration, right? And then obviously it goes without saying you want to respond to all their comments and all their messages on the platform, and you want to respond to all their questions on the platform as well. I look across the board and at about 80 to 90% of other instructors, especially once they get a little bit big, and big means like 50,000 to anything above that, they stop answering questions and they stop answering messages from students. And literally the number one to this date, what's the word I'm looking for? The number one accolade, I guess, that I get is that I'm responsive, and people are so happy that I respond back to them. So even if I don't have the answer for them, right? Even if they're asking me a question and I'm honest with them and I respond back within a couple days, they're very, very grateful for the response because most other instructors don't do that. Now, I take it a step further. You don't have to do this, but I always, reach out in my basically last lecture where I basically go over and do the course wrap up or course outro. I'll basically go ahead and inspire people to ask me questions. I'll pop my email up on the screen. I'll pop all my social media up on the screen in that last lecture. And that does two things, right? Obviously, first and foremost, it allows me to connect with that customer on a different platform so that I can potentially get and capture them on like my Instagram or my Facebook or my Twitter or my YouTube, right? So it's a good way to basically morph other customers and potential students over to your other platforms and grow an audience there as well so that you can basically stay in front of them and market them new courses, right? But more importantly, it also inspires them to reach out and ask questions. Now, yes, it's going to be a slightly more work. To this day, I don't get that many. I get, there have been times where, my email blows up and I can't respond to everybody. But for the most part, it's very, very, very manageable. And what it will do is it will build those customer relationships and those student relationships. And if you're responsive and you're willing to help, even if you don't have the right answer or the exact answer that they're looking for, if you're honest, willing to help, and you're supportive and you respond back to them, it's going to build that know, like, and trust factor that they need to purchase and review and watch your future courses, right? So you don't want to think of a customer as like one-off sales. The worst thing that anybody can do in business, especially in entrepreneurship, is just focus on one sale, right? You don't focus on, oh, you got a customer for one course. All right, now we're going to make another course and get more customers. No, instead, what you want to do is you want to take all the customers from your first course, and you do that by building relationships and focusing on the long game. And you take that relationship and then you nurture that relationship so that when you launch course number 2, you also get new students and new customers, but then all those other people come in, and then that's a snowballing effect. And your course number 2 starts up here, whereas your course number 1 started here, right? Then you take all these customers from course number 1 and number 2, you foster and nurture their relationship, and you build them over to course number 3. And then you get new students in course number 3, right? And then you take all those people, and then it's like a snowball. So course number 3 might start up here now with all this other support and all these other reviews and all this other watch time from people that are more inclined and interested in your content and you as an instructor, rather than when course number 1 was like all the way down here and course number 2 is right here, right? So focus. The whole point of this message is a lot of people, 99.9% of people are going to focus on the short-term aspects of whether it's content creation on YouTube, on Skillshare or Udemy, or if it's like the next hot topic in entrepreneurship, right? But I want to read you really fast something from I was basically going through and reading The Thank You Economy by Gary Vee and Amazon Letters to Shareholders, and it's been something that has played an instrumental part in my viewpoint of entrepreneurship and business in the past month or two, honestly, and I've been rereading both of those over and over and over again and ingratiating myself with their mindset, right? So I will make sure to actually link those in this actual lecture, and you can go ahead and grab both of those. The Thank You Economy is super cheap. I think it's like $10, and I don't really make that much affiliate commission. And the Amazon Letters to Shareholders, I've gone through and accumulated them all for free for you, so you can just read through them. Let me read you something that Jeff Bezos says in one of his Amazon Letters to Shareholders that is so true. So I really briefly want to read you 2 things, and obviously, as you can see here, I've printed out the entire shareholder letters, and they're in just like a binder. You don't have to do that. You can read them digitally. I uploaded them for you. It will really focus, and help you not just on this business, but just entrepreneurship and business mindset in general. Super valuable stuff, and I could not mean that more, right? So let me read you 2 things, right? First and foremost, proactively, this is a theme that you'll see across the shareholder letters. They're customer obsessed and they're focused on the long term. So proactively delighting customers earns trust, which earns more business from those customers, even in new business arenas. Take a long-term view, and the interest of customers and shareholders will align. So basically all he's saying is they proactively go out of their way to refund customers. They proactively go out of their way to, basically please the customer. And I'm basically pitching you the same thing here with, customer service and going out of your way to work harder to message and respond back to customers, right, and students. And by doing that, you will proactively basically increase their satisfaction with you, and they're going to be more inclined to buy, purchase, and review from you in the future, right? It's common sense. Let me read you one more sentence. Seek instant gratification, or the elusive promise of it, and chances are you'll find a crowd there ahead of you. A long-term orientation interacts well with customer obsession. So let me recap really fast. If you seek instant gratification or the elusive promise of it, chances are you'll find a crowd there ahead of you waiting for it already. That's basically what Jeff Bezos says in these letters, and you can basically go ahead and read them. A lot of very valuable insight into these. It will really help you out in business and entrepreneurship, and especially with this content business. Obviously, Thank You Economy also linked above if you want to grab it. But basically, all I'm trying to say here, guys, is proactively focus on improving relationships with your customers, because those customers, you don't just want to make one-off course sales or even 2-off course sales with those customers, right? You want to foster and build relationships for the long haul so that those people stick with you or your personal brand or your company forever, not just for one course sale, right? So really take this into consideration. This is literally one of the biggest realizations that I've had in online entrepreneurship and business. Focus on improving relationships with your customers, because those customers will stand by you, and it's the easiest way that you can basically get more sales and more customers is to focus on leveraging the current sales and current word of mouth that you already have, right? So the hardest thing for a company to do is get a new customer. The easiest thing is to maintain a customer. It costs about 10 times more to get a new customer than it does in business to keep your current customers. So keep your current customers and build good relationships with them and foster that relationship long term.